Samuel 30. As you're turning, I want to just share a couple of things. I want you to know, brothers, that we are going to be continuing to flow with virtual noon life at 9:30 every Sunday. And right now we're in life groups. So then e-church starts at 7:30. I'm dealing with Jeremiah, justice from a jail cell, just teaching you the book of Jeremiah. And then, of course, on Sunday morning, I'm dealing with the whole cancel culture that we're in. Tomorrow, I'm talking about truth. I'm talking about truth tomorrow, and the fact that you really don't have your own truth. And I really want to rattle some cages with that. God has given me a word, and that's how we're flowing. Next month, brothers, next month, we're going to just do a panel discussion, the second and third Sunday in October, talking about mental health, talking about the stress that everybody is under. And so I'm going to shift gears, do something totally different. So I really need you to help me get this word out, because we're in a whole different space now, and we really want to really speak into the lives and people in a very different way next month. And then in November, we'll have the harvest, but the harvest is going to be an e-church version of harvest. And December, we'll move right into Christmas, and we're going to do that a little different as well. 1 Samuel 30 and following, I'm going to read the sixth verse. And are we on right now? Because I cannot go on Facebook and do both. But 1 Samuel 30 and 6. Now, before I read it, this is what's going on in the text. David and his men have been really out there doing what they're doing, taking over things, taking charge. And he was out on a battle. He went on a battle. And then what happened is, when he gets back to Ziklag, he has found that the enemy has ambushed him. Today, I want to talk about men on the move, men on the move, men of valor. We're on the move. And so in 1 Samuel 30 and following, we have this awesome text of where David comes back to their campgrounds and found that the enemy has taken all of their stuff, their women, their children, all of their belongings, and have taken them off. And now they're wondering what to do. Here is the sixth verse. The sixth verse says, David was greatly distressed because the men were talking of stoning him. Each one was bitter in spirit because of his sons and daughters. But David found strength in the Lord. David encouraged himself. That's the verse from the King James tape in your mind. David encouraged himself in this moment where the campground has been taken out. Their village has been taken out. Everything has been taken from them. Their women and children taken into captivity. And the bros with him says, David, we're going to have to stone you for this one, bro. We cannot deal with this. In the midst of them about to stone David, he encouraged himself. I want to share with you 7 things. I know you said, now, Bishop, you usually do 3. 7, we're going to be here all day. No, we're not. 7 things that I need you to understand how men need to be on the move in a space that we find ourselves in, or wherever you find yourself in, whether it's finances, whether it's family, whether it's physical, you gotta still be on the move, men of valor, if you will. So we're on the move, and here we go. The first thing is you have to assess your situation. You have to assess your situation. David looked around after they came back to the camp, and he made an assessment. One of the things that we fail to do many times when we are trying to solve a problem is that we do not assess what is the real problem. What's the real issue here? Because in verse 6, that's what he did. He assesses what's happening. I have to take an account. You can't balance your checkbook until you take an account of what you have. You cannot balance your life until you take an account or you assess what it is. You cannot solve, you know, Sam Chan has this book, and he's one of his many books. He talks about the fact, what if you were leaning your ladder up against the wrong wall? You climbed the ladder against the wrong wall because you did not assess. So often when you are in a debate, in a disagreement with someone, in particular, if, for those of you who are married with your spouse, if you don't really assess what the problem is, you'll be all over the map. And tomorrow y'all be solving the same problem. So first thing, assess, take an account of what's going on. Here's the second thing that David did. He acquired the right attire. He acquired the right attire. I want you to look at verse 7. Then David said to Abiathar, the priest, the son of Amalekite, bring me the ephod. Abiathar brought it to him. Go get me the right attire. Why does he want the ephod? Why does he want that? Because he's got to go before the Lord. Remember, David is a man of war. David is a man that goes to battle, right? Now, in him going to battle, before he can ever do anything, he has to go to the Lord and ask God, what should he do? But he cannot go any old kind of way. The ephod is the priest's garment. I'm putting down my sword. I'm picking up the right garment or the right attire to hear from God. You can assess, but you still got to hear from God. You can't hear from God until you get on the right attire. Where are you, bros? Where are you, brothers, when it comes down to, am I really getting in the face of God? Do I have on the right attire? Not something symbolic as much as it is where I am in my disposition. Assess, I got to put on the right attire. And then here we go. Now I can advance. I can make the move to really doing what God has wanted me to do. Verse 8 says this. In verse 8, then David inquired of the Lord. Remember, he cannot inquire of the Lord. He cannot pray to God until he puts on the right attire. He inquires of the Lord, shall I pursue raiding this party? Will I overtake them? What does the response? Pursue them. He answered, you will certainly overtake them and succeed in the rescue. Assess, acquire the right attire. Now you got to advance. You got to advance. Now, no man can accomplish what God has called in his life by sitting around doing nothing. I've shared before, when you break down the word of Adam and Eve, or Adam rather, when you break those words down, a good man, you find that within that definition of man is someone who is doing something. When God created man, he gave him something to do. He gave him something to do. Let me just share this with you. My son-in-law, when my daughter was talking about marrying him and everything, I was of the opinion, one of the things I need to find out, will this guy work? Will he work? And so when I looked at all of the things from working at fast food places to working here to working there to a guy that will put his hands to work, then I said, okay, all right, he'll work. I might, if I fire him from this job, told him that up front. Now, if I fire you, you got to go to work, bro. You said, now, Bishop, you with that code? Yes, because we don't hire folk just to be hiring folk. And so I want to find out, will you go to work? Will you move from where you are? Will you advance? Men don't stay in the same place. So you got to assess, you got to tire, you got to advance. Here is the here is the fourth thing. There is going to be attrition. There is going to be attrition. Look at verse 9. Look at verse 9. David and the 600 men with him came to Bezor, the Bezor ravine, where some stayed behind. Where some stayed behind. Trust me, when you're trying to make a move, when you're trying to go forward, trust me, there are going to be some folk who can't make the shift with you. There's going to be some attrition. We experienced that as a church. Now, did that stop us? No. We kept moving forward. You always got to understand you're going to attrit, and you have to understand that. And as a result of that, you've got to take into account, how do I overcome that? Now, look at this. In verse 9, it says, David and the 600 men with him came to the Bezor ravine, where some stayed behind, for 200 men were too exhausted to cross the ravine. But David and 400 men continued the pursuit. We lost 200. Now, if we lost 200, we got 400 that moved forward. That means that we started out probably with 600. If my math is right, that means we lost a third. This ain't the first time God has asked men of God in the Bible to do something without them taking a loss. Come on, Gideon. Gideon, whose name means to cut, was cut all the way down to a couple of hundred people when he started out with thousands. Don't ever get discouraged if everybody's not going where you're going. And for the church, for the men, we got to grow. We got to understand that in this season, I don't know. We meet. I will tell you this, the bishop, are we attriting? Not based on our viewer numbers, not based on our viewer numbers. In fact, our view numbers have stabilized. We have about the same, actually, we are, when you include Facebook Live, and when you include Roku, when you include that, we have more eyeballs on the service than we did in the seats on Sunday. Let me say that again. We got more eyeballs on the service now than we had on seats on Sunday before the pandemic. So I'm not saying that there's an attrition or anything like that, but I need you to know that we got to advance. We cannot stay where we are right now. We cannot. Let me help you. Let me help you understand something. Now, there is right now the churches, and I've said this data before, I'll repeat it. The churches that have gone back completely, say, okay, we're going back. We're going like we did before pandemic. Only 6% of them are at the same place in attendance, in their giving, and in the ministries that they offer. Only 6% nationwide that have gone back have returned to where they were prior to the pandemic. Most of the churches are at 35% of what they were prior to the pandemic. And those are those who have gone back and says, we're still going to have church. Now, when we go back, when the Lord leads us to go back, it probably won't be this year. Whenever it is, it'll be by reservation. We're going to ease into it. Right now is not the time, because the governor has already cut back from half of your capacity to less than that. But here's my point. I don't know when that time will be exactly, and I am prepared, here it is, for attrition. But is that going to stop us from moving forward? You attrit a lot of ways in your lives, but you cannot stop moving forward and advancing yourself. So assess, stand on the move, acquire and have the right attire, advance, deal with attrition. Here is the fifth thing. The fifth thing is this: attack. Attack. Verse 17 is this. Verse 17 says this. David fought them from dusk until the evening of the night the next day, and none of them got away, except 400 young men who rode off on camels and fled. They attacked. They attacked. You know, we were talking earlier about the Lakers and everything, and how they have formidable guys on their team. LeBron, you got Unibrow, and you got some other guys. But until they got Rondo, old hat, old veteran, they were not attacking well. They were not attacking well. And therefore, they weren't moving forward. You got to attack. You cannot just sit back on your heels and think you're going to defeat the enemy in your life just by sitting back. You got to be on the move. So they attacked. There was attrition. There was advance. They acquired the right things to wear, the attire. They made an assessment. Here's the number 6 thing. They acquired what was lost. I want you to look at verse 18. Verse 18, David recovered everything the Amalekites had taken, including his 2 wives. Including his 2 wives. They got back everything. At the end of this pandemic, not only are we going to get back everything that God has given us, we're going to add more to it. And that's the attitude you got to have right now, brothers, in your walk with God. Whether I've lost my job, whether I'm dealing with something right now, no, I'm going to acquire and I'm going to have more than I had before this thing ever popped off, before I ever got into this situation. I'm going to acquire more. Here's the 7th and last thing. The 7th and last thing is verse 22. And in verse 22, here's the thing that's going to shake you. He applied a grace. He applied a grace. In 22, but all the evil men and troublemakers among David's followers said, because they did not go out with us, we will not share with them the plunder we recovered. However, each man may take his wife and his children and go. Listen to what David said. David replied, no, my brothers, no. You must not do that with what the Lord has given us. He has protected us and handed over to us the forces that came against us. Who will listen to what you say? The share of the man who stayed with the supplies is to be the same as that of him who went down to the battle. All will share. David made this a statute and an ordinance for Israel from that day to this. What went down? Remember when we attrited 200, we lost a third. They stayed on the other side of the ravine, didn't go into battle. They were exhausted. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm like some of them that was in there. Look, wait, hold up. How y'all getting some of this? And y'all punked out on us. You didn't move with us. How is that? How are we gonna then give you some of the plunder, some of the booty that we have, some of the things that we got? David had a different grace. He had a different grace. He said, hey, those guys stayed back, and even though they stayed back, they did something. I want to challenge you right now. I want to challenge you, man. Though you may not see a brother connected right now, though when we finally come back together, you may not see someone or what have you, or never saw them being connected, whatever the case may be, maybe not even contributing that, whatever. But at that moment, we have to apply the grace. We have to apply grace. Because if you don't apply grace, there was the time that David could have completely divided or caused division in his own camp. But remember, the text said it was those folk that was always complaining that came up and said, hey, you shouldn't share with those that were left behind. So he said, look, we're not going to cause division. God has brought this to us. And that's what we're going to share with everybody. So men, we're going to move forward. No matter your situation, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're dealing with right now, you're going to move forward. And you're going to assess where you are. You're going to acquire the right attire to put yourself in a position that you might go to the Lord and inquire. You're going to advance. You're going to experience, there's going to be some loss. You're going to attack. You're going to acquire what really belongs to you. And he's going to add more to it. And then you're going to apply grace as you move forward. Questions this morning with our Zoom at noon. Any questions? Any comments? Any thoughts?
Bishop, could you go over again? You said he applied grace and delve into that just a little bit, just another minute or two, in terms of, you know, who was working on who and why that was such a significant part of this.
When they were left, some of the men on the other side of the ravine who did not go into battle. Typically, during those times of battle and biblical battles, you got a share of the plunder when you went in to the enemy. Well, if you didn't go, then you don't get anything. They didn't go, and therefore, from a traditional point of view, they should not have received anything. That's why it says in 22, verse 22, but all the evil men and troublemakers among David's followers said, because they did not go out with us, we will not share with them the plunder we recovered. However, each man may take his wife and his child. Okay, we bought everything back. Go get your wife and your child, but you don't get any of the plunder. But David recognized, one, that these were guys that was always trying to cause a division, so he couldn't take any kind of insight from them or any kind of advice from them. And two, he shifted the whole thinking, because the text said that from that point on in Israel, plunder was always shared with everybody. And therefore he created a moment of unity as opposed to further dividing his camp.
Right.
So does that help?
So by doing that, he instilled his values and not the values of the naysayers and the troublemakers, and created a bigger flock because he was doing that. I got it. Okay, thanks.
Bishop.
Because no doubt these men who are going to still be a part are now potentially could cause all division. And when people see a grace applied, that tends to unify people as opposed to a different than that. We see that right now in our country. If you read the published reports, the reason why we didn't get a national strategy is because the president's son thought that this virus was going to remain in the blue states and in the inner cities, and therefore, why give everybody what they should have? Just let them suffer. Well, what happened is it moved. We all know it moved around. It's still moving around the country. And it ended up causing more division in the country as opposed to saying, no, everybody gets some of this. I think I cut somebody off. Was someone going to say something?
I think it was Howard, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I just had a question about acquiring the right attire. Bishop, if you could unpack that a little bit more, especially for us as men today, what does that look like?
To wear the ephod, thank you for the question. To wear the ephod And it's interesting that you bring that, because I saw for the very first time in my life an ephod when I was serving the late Bishop G.E. Patterson. And he had one, and it's a garment for the priests, and the priests would wear it, and then there's a stole for the prophet. Well, the ephod was the garment that you put on so that you could go before the Lord and have a symbolism of being clean and ready to intercede on behalf of the people. You couldn't go without that ephod. So he would get that. Now, that was the ephod then. I see that as a disposition now. As a disposition now. Brothers, we have to have a disposition that brings us into a humility before God. We have to be able to have a disposition that, God, I can't do this. I can't move forward unless I get in a disposition on my knees in a place of prayer before God. Does that help you?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other thoughts, other comments? Elder Wells, are you back?
Yes, sir. I am. I am. The spectrum has
Okay.
gone.
Did you have
Thank
something
God.
to share with the?
Yes. I just wanted to just mention to the brothers, and I just want to thank you, Bishop, for a powerful, empowering work that's definitely in season, and as it always is, and you are definitely appreciated. We thank in this season. And to all the brothers, hey, I just want to say God bless you, and good to see your faces, and thank you for just tuning in and just being on the line. I just want to encourage you, just as Bishop did, if you're not a part of a life group, just to go ahead and sign up for a life group. It's not too late. This is the first week for the men's group, and Minister Coffee is a highly anointed and well equipped with a great lesson for this month, and I just want to encourage you to sign up, and you will not be disappointed in with this life group. So, but yeah, and another thing I just wanted to say, to take care of yourself, take care of your health in this season. Take care of your spirit, care of your mental health. Where a lot of people are really stressing. It's a season where a lot of people are really they're afraid. Really got a lot of in a place of, so get out, exercise, walk, eat right, and get those checkups. Some people don't go until they start feeling a little funny. So don't wait till it's not only then, but also go have something scheduled in place with your doctor so that you can maintain physically healthy and also spiritually healthy. As Bishop was talking about having that ephod and having a position of not only having that ephod, but just being able to seek God, seek His face in this season, and just come before God as often as you can in this season, and having a time set up to take care of your spiritual well-being, and also mentally do something for you. As often as you can, do something for you. If not every day, definitely every week. And then lastly, not only take care of yourselves, but take care of each other, because everybody that's on this line is not okay. And so we got to reach out more. I have to do more. I have to do better at reaching out more. And so we all have to do that. So let's take care of one another. Let's take care of ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. And let's encourage others to do the same. and collectively we're going to grow. We're going to get stronger. And lastly, I'm just gonna put this plug in. Let's take care of our ministry. As Bishop was mentioning, that many of us we're not coming to church like we used to. So let's sow better than we've ever sown before. Let's sow more because we need the church when the doors open back up. We need to have a church to go to because these bills ain't gonna stop. So let's continue to sow into the ministry financially because we need finances to remain where we are at New Life. So let's give more. Let's continue to encourage one another, to encourage the ministry, and also be praying for our leaders and ultimately our bishop. And that's all I have. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, Elder. And you're so right. Just like in your house, the pandemic hadn't stopped the bills from coming, and the same thing for the church. Brother Keeler mentioned that he has scheduled his colonoscopy, and I would just say to you, hey, that is a good thing. That if you not schedule these annual exams, I mean, you look at, oh my God, why does his name slip my mind right now? The brother, T'Challa, Chadwick.
Chadwick, yes.
Yeah, so let's keep those annual things in mind, your annual physical, as well as the other things that you need to have checked. Hey, I don't know a brother on here right now that loves to get that finger wave. But hey, if you don't get the finger wave with your prostate and checking those things in your PSA, that should not go above 4.0. If it goes above that number, you need to be checking and seeing, okay, what's going on? As you all know, I just went through that. God, miraculous, was benign, but I stay on top of those things. Please do that. I think Coffee had a question. It was saying, do you find yourself asking a question? I didn't get all of that. Coffee, could you share that?
Yeah, thank you, Bishop. It's just telling about our life group we have Wednesdays. We try to answer some questions that relate to how we as men will lead in our community, beginning from our personal lives through our families. And then we begin to extend to the community and the church as a whole. So that is what we are trying to deal with in this life group, the 8 weeks, the 7 weeks we have ahead of us. So I just want to encourage the brothers to join us Wednesdays as we answer these questions, because it is on the mind of everybody, especially in this season. How do we as men lead and truly lead from our families through the church and the community and the nation as a whole?
Absolutely. Thank you, Minister Coffee.
Bishop,
Go ahead.
just wanted to interject with everything that's going on. We're talking about everybody's health. Just wanted to interject about getting that check, because this is prostate month. And it's very important that we know what our PSAs are, just like you said. We do have an opportunity. My wife, who is a doctor, who is a radiation oncologist, is going to be giving a webinar, a 2-part webinar about prostate exams and the healthcare disparity for Black men in that concern. Because a lot of the information that we normally get from our doctors truly isn't catered towards us, because of the information that they do have research on is usually based upon our counterparts that are out there. A lot of us don't know that we should be getting checked at different times than what our counterparts do. And she's doing a webinar, 2-part webinar starting this Tuesday.
Is there a link to that? This is Sean. Is this Sean talking?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I thought so. So Sean, can you provide that link and then we can send it out? I think I see it right now. Send it
Yes,
out.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's it right there. There's a small registration fee for that. She's also doing something for the ladies in a couple more days for breast cancer. But this is something that's really near and dear to her heart and my heart. I had a colonoscopy myself done a couple of years ago, and I was 6 months away from having full-blown cancer.
Wow.
If I hadn't went when my wife told me to go and get checked, and I had waited a little bit longer, I would have full-blown cancer.
Wow.
So these things are really important for us to really do. I had an uncle passed away, and he had prostate cancer, and there's so many people in my own family, breast cancer, that have suffered from it. So this is something that kind of really hits a rail with my family.
Wow. Hey brothers, let's read it and heed it.
Yes.
Thank you, Sean.
What is the age that a man should be able to go get that prostate exam?
Your age.
To be honest, person by person, that's almost one of those things where you got to know your family history.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes if you have a family history of it, you need to go early. Because normally they tell you around 40, 45, 50. And for Black people, it's a much lower age. My wife has had people come in that are 20 years old with full-blown cancer.
Yes.
Wow.
So I'm not an expert. She's an expert. That's someone you can talk to and get information from. That's why she's trying to do this, because she really loves to advocate for patients. But for us as Black men, we have to do this as early as possible. For most of us, we should have did it at like 30 something years old, around 35.
Okay.
Yeah, they Sean, this is right. They tell us age 40. The majority community, they say 40, right? But
Yeah,
really,
around 40 to 50
40,
years old.
40 and then 50. But you have to press your doctor to try to go earlier. And I think the only way the insurance will pay for it, correct me if I'm wrong, is if you can show a family history, which is hard for us because, I'm doing ancestry DNA now.
Well, actually, that necessarily isn't true, because a lot of these things are what they call preventive health.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of your insurances will pay for things because it's preventive. They'd rather you go get checked than for them to come back later on. You got full blown and they got to come out the pocket for it.
They pay more money.
Yes,
money. Right.
And for people who are more senior, who've gotten to the age of like 65, there are so many things out there that the government will pay for, Social Security stuff will pay for you to go to the doctor for free to get checked up, period. And there's a lot of links out there. I forgot about where to go to get it. I used to have it because I used to give this to our men's group back at Bethel, where you can go pick that information up. And for seniors, all that stuff is free. They have a long list of things that you can go do that's for free, but they just don't tell you about it.
They don't tell you, yeah.
Well, I will tell you, and I think Brother Minister Goody just mentioned, get your flu shot as well. These are all things that we really do need to do. I'm like you, Sean. I went and got my colonoscopy, and they found a polyp the size of a golf ball. And this was when I was 50 or 40, not sure when. And had I not gone to get that, that could have been very, very serious later. But I went, and he saw it. He clipped it out, of course. but that was an issue. And then, as you all know, you've heard me share my story about PSA. My father passed with prostate cancer, so I've always been on top of that. I've had 3 biopsies, 4 if you include the MRI biopsy. And so I just try to stay on it and believe in God. Benign, benign, benign. I just bless God for that.
Hey, Bishop Dudley.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Elder Ronnie Ladd. I'm joining you guys from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I tuned in kind of late, but I'm encouraged to hear you guys talk about your health, which we don't hear a lot of inside of the church walls. So I would like to add one thing to the discussion that I think is very important for us to also get our hearts checked. You know, I go every year. I go once a year to get my heart and lungs exam, and I thank God that nothing has been found so far, and I thank God for that. I get my daily exercise in. I try to eat healthy when I, I'm not very. I don't do it all the time, but I try to do it as often as I can and stay away from things that could damage my body. But as far as the prostate is concerned, I think it's very important for us to get that checked. And I have 2 young men. One just turned 40 and the other one just turned 38, but I had them to get their prostates checked. My oldest son, when he turned 38, and my youngest son, when he turned 36. So I had both of them. Hey, Ryan, can you get him for a second? Get the baby. I had them to get theirs checked early because I had a brother to pass away due to prostate cancer. Hey, go have his mama get him. Go have his mama get him, okay? I'm on a Zoom call. Sorry about that, Pastor.
No, you're fine.
But I'm really encouraged to hear you guys talk about health. It's not something that we often hear coming from, especially from pastors. And I'm just encouraged to hear you bring that to the forefront.
Well, we received that, Elder, and thank you for being a part of our Zoom at noon. It's second Saturday, if you just want to put it on your calendar. We're glad to have you.
Second Saturday?
Second Saturday, Zoom at noon.
Zoom at noon, okay.
Now, Elder, the only way you can be invited back is that you have to be a LeBron James Laker fan. Well, being in Oklahoma, though, I'm sure you're a Thunder fan.
That's right. I'm a Thunder fan. Hey, since they're out, hey, I'm with the Lakers. I'm with the Lakers.
All right. Big brothers, I told y'all all it takes is some, if you know how to witness, you can have converters.
Don't roll over, Ronnie. Don't roll over.
My brother was the one that sent me the link, by the way, Emmett Ladd.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
okay.
praise God. Praise God. Hey, see what happens when we do that, man? We send that link out, we connect. Hey, brothers, yeah. we're right up against it. We like to keep it just like if we were having breakfast, keep our time to an hour and be good stewards of your time. As the old preacher would say, if there are no burning testimonies, there are no burning testimonies. Any brother got any last things they want to share?
Praise the Lord, Bishop.
Yes, go ahead. Is that Minister Fain?
Yeah, this is Elder Fain. Just want to say I really appreciate your teaching on this morning, this afternoon, and also thanks for the discussion dealing with cancers and prostate. That's something very important in our lives. I can just tell you, I had a cousin that died from colon cancer. My mother was diagnosed with cancer, and wow. Before she passed, she always told me, you need to go get a colonoscopy. And I'm kind of hard-headed a little bit. I've been seeing the doctor and telling my doctor about this issue, about going to get one, and finally they just wrote me up a prescription to go to see a what you call it, colonoscopy doctor to have that procedure done. And so, yeah, I just pray for me that once I get this done, that I didn't wait too long or too late, you know, and everything be benign or it'd be no cancer at all. Because I'm going to get it done sometime next month. So, yeah, just pray for me.
It will be. Yeah, it will be. And Brother Keeler just mentioned get your shingle shot as well. You know, we got to stay on these kinds of pieces. You can't be a man on the move, which is what I was teaching today, if you are someone who is settled and not, you know, not going to the doctor, not doing those kinds of things. It's kind of like asking for directions.